Since 1997, students serious about improving their craft and widening their perspective have been seeking out what is now Vermont College's Master of Fine Arts in Writing for Children and Young People.
When you write something you love, the first thing you want to do is share it. At least I do, or even when you're a child, you run and say, Mom, guess what I wrote? And I think here you can share it with somebody who's passionate and they're on the same page as you. They want your work to be as good as possible, and that's the same thing you want.
If you have that desire to write, you owe it to people to explore that and bring it forth.
I think that the important thing about an MFA program is that it really helps people find their own voice. And a good teacher of writing will, in a sense, show you technical things that will allow you to achieve what already is within you, but is perhaps stoppered up.
I wrote for years and years by myself, taking day-long workshops and things like that. Didn't really grow as a writer very much. And when I came here, I grew more in the first semester than I had in 10 years of trying to teach myself.
I published 8 books in the national market. I was kind of having a dry period, and I really felt like there was a lot of stuff that I could still learn. I think once we decide we can't learn anymore, then we're in big trouble, especially in our writing.
And the more I've gone on and developed a career as a writer, the more I've realized in all the artistic fields, you have to invest in yourself. That's the very first step.
Like a lot of people here, I think I did some research into programs that focused on children's and young adult literature, and this is really the program. There didn't seem to be any dispute about that.
About 100 guys were renting a small Afghan house, and conditions were miserable for me, for everyone. But I'm not a tough guy, really. I teach English. And when the mail came and I read Bridge to Terabithia, my wife had sent it. It was the only thing that wasn't guns or dirt. I wanted to thank Catherine Patterson. She helped me point me to this college.
There's a reputation in history about Vermont College. A lot of great authors have come from the program. A lot of great instructors have taught at the program. So it would just kind of seem the only place to go.
We are now celebrating our 10th anniversary. We've been in business for a long time, and we know how to deliver this model in a way that is extremely effective.
I came to the program hoping to get published, I think is what most people want to do. And what I realized from the very first lecture was this was a place I just wanted to be. I wanted to immerse myself in. And along the way, I did get published, but my goals changed to not just getting a contract, but to really write quality children's books.
It's one of the things I like most about this program is the variety of students we can bring in that wouldn't be in a regular college program going to a college campus right near their home.
I think if we were here on campus all the time, we'd be living in some kind of bubble that doesn't exist.
Writing is essentially a solitary pursuit, and at the same time, there are times when you sort of get lost in that solitude and you yearn for a community. So this provides both.
Yes, it is a learning institute. It's an academic institute, but first and foremost, it is taught by writers. So we give you the world as it truly exists for writers.
The differentiation between student and faculty is not, I think, as in other universities. Writers are in it together. Writers know that the problems exist for everybody.
During your MFA course, you will attend 5 residencies and work intensively with a single faculty advisor during each of 4 semesters.
My class is 18 people strong, so and from all different walks of life, all different areas of the world. But it's interesting talking to them and their experiences and what they want to write and how what they do can help you and how we can support each other.
The first night we were here and our whole semester was together, and we got to know each other, really quickly, and by the end of the residency, I felt like I'd known these people forever.
It is completely welcoming. I felt everybody took me under their wing, from faculty to students, and that certainly everybody was very approachable.
If you ever went to summer camp and didn't like it, that would be me, that this is summer camp as it should have been.
I've laughed harder in 10 days in my whole life.
I think that it's good because there's just enough time to learn to love your fellow students and not really enough time to learn to hate them.
The residency is intense, but it's not overwhelming, and because we are given the liberty to take some time off, there's periods where you can just relax and reflect on what you've learned and then go back and absorb some more.
By the time you leave the 10-day residency, you are a different writer. Even if you haven't gone to your room and written anything or booted up your laptop, you are a different writer in your brain and in your heart and in your mind and in your toolbox of techniques.
Here's the deal. You get the advisor you are meant to have. It is a serendipitous type of situation. You need that advisor at that moment, whether it's to kick your butt or to, wrap you in a warm embrace and tell you you're doing a great job.
They get to know you, they get to know your writing, they get to know what kind of flaws you tend to fall into, what pitfalls are for you in your writing. And then they know to look out for those, and they know to tell you to look out for those.
Every month you get a very detailed letter back from your advisor with editing suggestions and suggested revisions or pointing out areas of weakness in what you've sent. And so you have the opportunity to revise your work and send it in along with new work. So there's an accountability there that really helps, that keeps you honest, keeps the discipline strong. But also, it just develops into a really nice relationship with your advisor, a friendship, a camaraderie, a real feeling that they're on your side.
My first semester advisor, we worked on a lot of different things, and she said, okay, I think you need to work a little bit more on characterization. Guess what? My second semester advisor ended up being very good at developing character. And so we worked more on that aspect of the story. The next advisor that I worked with was more about structure and taking a step back. And the final advisor was putting the pieces together.
To think that each faculty member here only works with maybe tops 5 people, some of them with 3. It's just an amazingly personal experience. I get to know my students in a much deeper way than I ever have before, care about them tremendously. When I find myself tearing up at graduation, oh gosh, now I'm going to tear up now. I find that I've really gotten close to them.
The packet comes in, I get right down to it. I spend many hours on it. Reply, get it back to them, get the hard copies. I do the hard copies, get it back to them so they can look at both, and then we go ahead and talk about what's going to happen next month or what might happen, because it's always changeable.
I know full well that people are handing me their hearts on a platter, and I want to treat it as with as much respect as I possibly can.
This advisor asks lots of questions about the work, and I try to get at the space between your intent for the work and what actually shows up on the page. I'm keenly aware in my own work that there is a huge gap between these two things, and I try to help you identify what that gap is and figure out a way to best bring that idea to life.
I don't want a student to entirely agree with me. I want to point things out, and I want to, if I feel that they're just slavishly doing what I'm telling them to do, I'm going to be really worried. It's not an ego thing. It's like, I don't want you to do exactly what I'm doing. I want you to respond to what I'm saying in your way, and that's going to be exciting.
Their stories become as real to me as my own. I say, for me, one of the challenges of being an advisor is that I find myself thinking about their stories in times when I think I would have normally been thinking about my own stories.
At Vermont, college students begin critical work along with their creative in the first semester. We make very sure that they're comfortable in both venues and that they're choosing critical topics that either speak to a particular area of interest they may have, an area of passion, or are in subjects that they're perhaps struggling with in their own work.
At the beginning, I was very nervous about the critical work because I thought that wasn't what I was here for, and I hadn't written a paper about literature in 20 years. As I eased into it with my advisors, I have found that it's extremely important to me. I usually wrote about issues I was having with my own writing, and by really thoroughly investigating how other authors have handled those issues, you really, at the end of writing a good paper, you really own the knowledge in a way that I think you don't if you just read about it in a craft book or have someone tell you.
I think I have much more of a voice now than I did when I started my graduate studies 2 years ago. And I've worked with a number of different people at this point, and it's just the process, it's the doing that establishes that. I've never felt like anybody was overbearing in their suggestions or comments or tried to hijack my work.
The exciting part about writing is when you give up your control of the piece and just start to try things out and experiment.
People care passionately here about what you care about. And suddenly when you're in that environment, you can open up to people, you can start considering doing the sort of work that you hadn't done in the past.
I'm very surprised at the work I'm working on. I came here to do picture books and I'm writing a YA novel, so I've gone in a completely different direction than I expected, which is totally exciting.
The changes that you see in a writer as they begin to their graduation are just astounding. Astounding. We even turn to them. We refer to their work. And that is exciting to see that in a student that maybe came in with an idea of what they wanted to do, but now they own what they do, and in a way that makes it shareable and publishable.
Many students come here because they're interested in gaining the skills that will be required of them should they decide to teach down the road. That would include critical thinking and analysis, familiarity with the body of literature, and also teaching techniques. In the workshops and through their student lectures, they learn to put themselves essentially in our shoes.
Of course, we want the book and we want the audience to come to our written work, but the wonderful thing that has happened to me and I see happening to all of our students is the growth in the ability to be who we are meant to be.
I watch them transform. It is so exciting to see them at graduate readings, and you're watching this piece that you might have heard them read their first semester and you're like blown away, you know, and advisors are blown away. And this came out of this person, you know, and they weren't like this at last residency. That was only 6 months ago, you know. How did this happen? It is beautiful, and you're so proud of everybody around you.
The person you gave to us 2 years ago is not the person who is sitting up here on this stage right now. The person you gave to us is not the person we are giving back to you. Everything has changed. Every one of you has changed.
I think the biggest transformation was that of confidence. We all have more confidence on our own writing. Just the fire and the energy that's here, it's fuel.
I mean, for me, I came here for 2 reasons. One of them was the community, one of them was to become a better writer, and I feel like I've gotten both of those.
The one thing I'll remember is the closeness of everyone here, even between faculty and students. I'll remember singing.
I will revise! Because I'm the VC faculty, I know I can excise. I can cut those useless adverbs, I can sprinkle in surprise, and I'll revise. I will revise! Hey, hey!
You'll never meet a more supportive group than this.
And even coming here today as a graduate, the minute I stepped foot on campus, a light bulb went on. And this is a place that inspires people. It has inspired me, and I like coming back.
I came to Vermont College with a novel that I had just barely started. I completed it while I was here. I completed a picture book while I was here. I sold the picture book before I graduated, and a year after I graduated, I sold my novel. It made all the difference for me. There is no way in the world I'd have a book published right now if I had not come to Vermont College.
This program also, I think, has had remarkable results. If you look at the number of students who are published after they leave the program, and the number of students who, even if they're not published, have felt incredibly enthusiastic about the way that their work has changed, I think that it speaks for itself.
Anita Silvey said something that I thought was amazing, which was, in the next 10 years, the largest influence on children's literature is going to be Vermont College. And And I think we need to take that to heart and be a part of that.
I feel honored every time I walk into Noble Lounge and remember the first day I walked in there as a student scared to death. About the third packet, I told my advisor I didn't really belong here. I probably wasn't a writer and I wasn't going to be able to come back because of it. And he said, forget that. You're meant to be here.
Come. It's fabulous. I mean, I still love it. I've been here 6 years. This is my 13th residency. And I'm not tired. It's exciting.